Hello everyone, my name is Eric and welcome to our new program in which we discuss critical issues with distinguished public figures and domain experts. Today we have a very special guest with us, legislator蔣万An.
Hello, Eric. Hello, everyone.
So, Legislator Zhang received his LLB from National Zhenji University and his JD from Penn Law. Following his graduation, he joined the Palo Alto-based Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich and Rosati. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
WSGR,
okay.
yes.
Yeah. One of the top law firms in California, specializing in business, securities, and intellectual property law. He worked with clients from all over Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Okay. Including Google, Apple, and Tesla.
Yes.
Okay. After practicing for several years, you founded your own law firm, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you returned to Taiwan in 2013. Today, Legislator Zhang is the legislator of the 3rd Electoral District of Taipei City.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to our program.
Well, thank you. It's my great pleasure. Thanks for the brief introduction of myself. Thank you so much.
No problem. It's definitely our pleasure. As a legislator, social issues in Taiwan are of the greatest concern to you. So today we would like to discuss one particular social issue known as brain drain. Can you, for the sake of our viewers, briefly give us an overview of what brain drain is and the problems that it might cause?
Okay, so brain drain is basically the term describe a situation in which a country is losing its human capital. So simply speaking, a country being drained of the brain power. So it is quite a serious problem now. Pretty much every country is facing right now. So and it is popularized by media. So brain drain. Now Taiwan is also facing this problem too. And I know many of the young generation, they are willing to work abroad right now because low salary in Taiwan. So they want to seek a more high position, like they can be paid well abroad in other countries.
In your opinion, what are some major factors contributing to brain drain in any society?
Right. I think first, the low salary, and second, poor investment environment in Taiwan for foreign companies, and third, the long working hours in Taiwan.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a working culture in most Asian countries, not only Taiwan, but also South Korea, Japan, and Singapore.
How many hours a day do you work?
I'm quite, exceptional. I mean, my working hour per day average is about like 10, 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember the days I used to work about 10 hours a day, 10 to 12 hours a day.
Well, it's very different. But I can tell you when I was a lawyer in Silicon Valley, well, it was also long hours.
Oh, long hours in Silicon
Valley.
Long
hours, yeah. Especially working in a huge firm, a huge law firm. Lots of pressure, and especially when you are working on a deal, like merger acquisition or an IPO, probably you will work for about like more than 16 to 20 hours a day. And for example, I remember when I was working on a merger deal, I brought my sleeping bag to the office. And you'll just probably have to sleep in the office for a couple of weeks. It's pretty normal.
So, given your answer, would you say that brain drain only exists in specific industries?
Because of the low salary in Taiwan or in other countries, the young generation, they will seek greater job opportunities abroad in other countries. So especially when they have a very well-trained education, they are skilled or professional, they'll try to find better future job prospects, especially if it's overseas. So, and also if you are a high manager, you want to get paid well, or you want to manage a team, probably some big or international companies, especially based in Singapore or in the US, you'll have a better chance to become a manager, or you can have a better view in the future.
I think there's also the problem of the limited number of industries and domains in a specific region. I remember meeting a student, and he went to the U.S. because he was a choir director.
Okay.
And he said there's just no room for growth in his native country. He has to go to the U.S. to find his domain.
Right.
So I think that's definitely an issue. But given the complexity of these issues, what do you think would be some effective ways to address these problems?
Well, first of all, I think, for example, I always like to take Singapore as an example. I've been to Singapore several times, and I found there are many Taiwanese people working in Singapore, especially young generation. Well, first, they pay well, and it's very international. They are a bilingual country. And also, they are very open and transparent of like their legal systems, all the procedures, and they provide like tax incentives to attract international companies, enterprises to set up headquarters or branch offices in Singapore. So they can create a very friendly investment environment. And that is something Taiwan really need.
I see.
So they can attract a lot of young talents or experienced senior
management
to Singapore. So they, they become a very globalized and internationalized country.
So given what we discussed, what do you think the government can do to create this kind of welcoming environment for investors and global talents?
I think the government can make some rules and policies to attract talents from other countries.
Do you mean like legislation?
Yes, legislation. For example, tax incentives, which can attract international companies, enterprises to set up headquarters or branch office in the country. Or like visa privileges. For example, to provide visas to entrepreneurs or startups for them to come to set up the companies or offices in the country in return of 3 or 5 years stay in the country, or even give you the permanent residency afterwards. So, for example, maybe 3 years ago, I remember I read the news that Japan, because they want to attract more talents or startups to come to Japan, so they have the so-called the fastest review process of the visa to grant the permanent residency to foreigners so that they can come to set up their startups in Japan. So I think those are the incentives or policies that we can learn to to have our talent stay in Taiwan. So that's something we can learn.
Okay, thank you. So I think we talked a lot about what the government can do. But let's focus on perhaps the positive aspects of skill migration. There's some evidence that skill migration can be beneficial. Do you think brain drain or skilled migration is necessarily bad for a country?
It depends, and I don't think it's bad for a country. For example, I believe if you can reverse the situation from brain drain to brain gain, so that we can make our young generation to go abroad, to learn something new from other countries, and they come back so they can bring back their new knowledge, skills, expertise to Taiwan.
I remember there used to be like a huge drive to study abroad in the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
When we grew up.
Right.
I just feel that there are fewer and fewer students willing to do this nowadays.
I believe the main reason is the financial problem. Because it's really hard for every family to support a student or your kid study abroad, because it will cost a lot.
So it kind of goes back to the low salary issue that we've been discussing, because that seems to affect everything, right?
Yeah, so I think it's really hard to solve. It's not just like in Taiwan, we raise the minimum wage each year, it won't solve the problem. Probably we have to think deeply, like to change the overall working conditions. Yeah, the working conditions, and to create a friendly investment environment to attract international companies to Taiwan, so that there's competition, so that we can raise the salary, because those big companies, they try to get talents, yes, right? So they have to compete the salary they offer to.
It sounds like you have a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah.
Lots of legislation. And I think you're going to go back to your 10-hour work days.
I know, and I have my sleeping bag prepared.
So thank you for that analysis. Sure. I think I have one final question for you, and it's for our viewers. What do you think we can do, knowing that there's high tuition costs and lots of living expenses, but we still want to study abroad? What can students do to address this problem?
Well, this question reminds me of the CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, just mentioned recently, saying that because of the coronavirus, the pandemic, he predicts more than 50% of his company's employees will be working remotely in the next 5 or 10 years. Mm. So this could be a good news for younger generation in Taiwan. So I would say for young students or students in college or universities in Taiwan, just get well prepared, so that if you have such skills, you may have the opportunities working for those huge tech companies in the States, but you're still staying in Taiwan.
So essentially they can study in Taiwan, but they can study by using these online resources.
Right, exactly.
And they can even connect with these Fortune 500 companies.
Yes.
And contribute not only to the companies, but also to Taiwan as well.
Exactly, yes. So, for example, I would say for young students, interdisciplinary.
Interdisciplinary?
Yes, it's very important right now. It's a trend. For example, if you're a law major, you may also want to study like coding or design. So just get yourself prepared so that you may have more chances to work in tech companies or financial industries and work for other international companies, and you're still based in Taiwan. And then you get the experiences, you get the knowledges and skills. Then you can also change your track, or working for Taiwanese tech companies. Just get more experiences.
So opportunities only come when you're prepared for them. So once again, thank you, Legislator Chiang, for coming to our show.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.